on YouTube. Okay. So the window's open and the dogs start barking. No, miss. No, miss. What's that? I might have to close that. Anyway, so I think I'm a little early. Imagine that. The floor is nice and warm in this spot. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. And I read all the time, and one of the big criticisms right now is how Western yoga is not really yoga, right? So if you go to the gym or you go to a studio, typically, unless the studio says differently, when you walk into a class, you expect it to be poses, right? Asana is what that piece is called. But that's a very small piece of what yoga actually is. So today we're going to work in a little bit more. Right? We're going to get a little bit of breath work in, pranayama, and then we're going to do a little bit of guided meditation at the end. So if you are unable, for whatever reason, you don't really feel well, or maybe from nursing an injury or whatever it might be, you can still practice yoga. You might not be able to do many of the poses, right? But that's not all there is. So we're going to weave a little bit of that into our asana practice. And whether you maybe some days substitute it, right? Or whether you incorporate it more into your poses or your asana practice, is entirely up to you. But there are so many more options and so much more to it. So that's kind of the point. And yeah, let's just see what happens. It's probably be a little bit shorter practice just because, but that's the direction. So while we're going to open up with some breath work. And while we're doing that, if you wanted to be in a chair or if you want to sit up against a wall, the idea is to make the body a little bit more comfortable so that you can just focus on your breath rather than wiggling around in your seat, right? And then at the end for that guided meditation, if you, want to prop up, maybe laying back with something under your knees, or you could do legs up the wall or something like that as well. But just something, make it a little bit special for that guided meditation at the end, right? So that's where we're going. Let's go ahead and head over to the mat. We're going to start seated, obviously, like I said. And whether you're up against a wall or in a chair, entirely up to you. I'm going to close these just in case it gets a little noisy. It's really beautiful out. I don't know about where you are, but it's looking like a really lovely day. So make yourself comfortable again, whatever that's going to look like today. And then just allow yourself to align here, right? Feeling your pelvis level into the floor. The lower belly's working, but definitely let your upper belly be soft and comfortable today, especially. Right? Relax your shoulders. Sit nice and tall. Feel that length in your neck. Closing your eyes if you haven't already. And just kind of mentally prepare. Releasing anything that you might have to do later today. Something going on before you walked in to this space. Just let that all go for now. And we're going to start off by just simply observing the breath. But notice something different about it, right? So maybe you pay attention to whether you breathe more into your chest or your belly, typically. Right? Maybe you think about how deep or shallow your breath may be flowing. See if you can notice something else, whatever that else might be. Maybe it's a little catch somewhere, maybe it's a little bit of discomfort, maybe it's that your nose is running. Just being really aware of and tuned into what is just natural for you. On your next exhalation, exhale until you feel like you're empty. Take the upper belly and pull it in tight, tight, tight to your spine. When you go to inhale, draw that air deep into your lungs and make your upper belly poke out. And then exhale it all the way again, pull that upper belly in tight. Again, draw it deep. And push it all out. Once more like that. And then do that again, inhaling deep into your lungs, let your upper belly poke out. But now continue to inhale and see if you can feel your side ribs get wide. As you exhale, draw your rib cage together, pull your lower belly or your upper belly in, and get empty. So again, like that, inhale deep and wide. Squeeze the rib cage back together, pull the belly in, and get empty. One more time like that. How's that breath making you feel? Do you feel different? It's pretty big, but there's probably some more space. So inhale this time deep, wide, and then continue to inhale until you could not take another sip of air. Feel it up across your chest, into your throat. You're full. And then exhale from the upper chest. Squeeze the ribcage together. And then pull the belly in and get empty. So again, like that, inhale deep, wide, and all the way to the top. Like you're filling up a pitcher of water. And then empty that back out from the top, middle, and bottom. Once more like that. We're going to do that again. Inhale and get full. This time, once you're full, drop your chin and hold your breath in for a count of 3. And when you've counted to 3, go ahead and lift your chin and exhale it out. Again, like that. Drop the chin, hold it in. And then lift the chin and exhale away. One more of those. If you do tend to get a little dizzy, just stop with the retention piece. Nice deep breaths. Getting full. When you're full, drop your chin. Hold it in as long as you can hold it this time. If you haven't already, go ahead and lift your chin, exhale away. Take a couple of those big, full breaths. Just more normal, right? Getting full and then empty. Full. When you're full, this time drop your chin and hold your breath out for a count of 3. And then lifting your chin, go ahead and inhale. And exhale again. When you're empty, drop your chin and hold the breath out for that count of 3. Lifting the chin and inhaling. Once more here, go ahead and exhale it all the way. Drop the chin and hold your breath out for as long as you'd like. Well, as long as you're able. Or again, if you feel a little off, just breathe in. It's weird, right? As you need, and lifting the chin and inhaling. Take a couple more of these nice big breaths filling up from the bottom to the top. Emptying from the top to the bottom. And then it won't be a very vigorous practice today, but see about using that Ujjayi breath throughout the class, right? So keeping it nice and full, maybe not as quite as extreme as we have been, but opening up the back of the throat so you can hear your breath flow in and out. Keeping that breath flowing as we begin to add some gentle movement. With your next exhale, go ahead and drop your chin down to your chest all the way down. Again, like that. And then inhale your face back to the center. And exhale, turning towards your right shoulder. Inhale back to the middle. Exhale, turning your face to the left. Coming back to center. Exhale, right again. This time, let your chin roll towards your shoulder and all the way down to the center of the chest. Inhale, lift your head. Exhale to the left. And roll that chin down. Bringing it back up. This time, exhale your right ear toward your right shoulder. Let the shoulder relax, just feeling this nice stretch in the outside of the left, on the left side of your neck. Take the left hand and stretch it away from the body. Feel it down your shoulder into your arm, maybe even. And then bring it back to center. Exhale your left ear toward your left shoulder. And again, here you can stretch the right arm away or not. back to center. You can leave your eyes closed here if you'd like, or opening them. We're going to extend both arms out to the sides, and with the next inhale, stretch them up to the ceiling. Exhaling back down. Connected to the breath. Let's do it again. Once more. Back to the top. And then exhale the right hand back to the mat and give yourself a tip. Taking a nice big breath here. Draw the left shoulder back a bit. And on an inhale, bring yourself back to center. Switching to the left. Big breath here. Back to center. Let's go over to the right again. Exhale. Keeping the pelvis level, maybe get a bigger stretch. And then back to the middle. Last time taking it left. And back to center. Exhaling the arms. Stay sitting nice and tall here. Take the right hand to the left knee, and then give yourself a little twist over to the left here. Make it nice and gentle. Big full breaths here. We're going to release it back to the center and switch sides. Let's come on back to the middle and head back over to the first side again. So right hand to the left knee. Left arm is behind the body. Sit up nice and tall. So inhale and imagine lengthening through the spine, crown of the head to the ceiling. And as you exhale, think belly button to the left. Inhale, focus on that length, sit a little taller. This time as you exhale, imagine turning your side ribs. Inhale, a little taller yet. Exhaling, take that left shoulder back a little bit more. Maybe look over your shoulder. And we're going to take one more nice big breath here. Sitting tall. And let's release it back to the middle again. Switching sides. Left hand to the right knee, right hand behind the body. Sit up extra tall here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring the belly around. Inhale, lengthen again. Exhaling the ribs around. Taller yet. So about taking that right shoulder back. How far can you see over your shoulder? One more big breath. And then releasing back to center. Bringing both hands to the knees. Here, we're going to inhale, pull the shoulders together on the back and lift the chest. Exhaling, round through the spine, think forehead and belly button. And just with the breath here, flowing in and out. One more flow like that. And then just bringing yourself to a neutral seat here. Let's go and bring the soles of the feet together. Pulling the heels in as tight to the groin as you can, keeping the four corners of the feet pressing into each other. Sometimes it's easier to let the toes flop open, right? But see if you can close it like a... And then hanging onto the ankles, relax into the inner thigh, right? It'll fall to the floor or not. Squeezing it doesn't make any difference. So pulling against the ankles here to sit extra tall. If you can use your elbows at your inner hip here to gently release them. And we don't want to just press the knee down. That doesn't really keep the hip open, right? Just a gentle little press at the inner hip here. And maybe it makes a big difference and maybe it doesn't. Don't go crazy. Right? And then maybe hinge forward, bringing your belly button toward the heels. Keep the spine nice and long. Listen to your body when it's enough, it's enough. We're going to take one more breath here. And then on an inhale, hinge back up again. And let's go ahead and extend those legs out long. They're probably a little stuck, so maybe wiggle them around some. If you are still propped in one manner or another, just make the adjustments, right? Maybe just come down to your bottom at this point. Extending the legs long, feet flexed, toes pointing toward the ceiling. Yeah? The pelvis is upright. Let's go ahead and inhale, stretch the arms up. Hinge forward from the hip. And when you can't hinge forward any further, the hands fall, right? We're not reaching for anything. We're just bringing the torso forward. Taking a couple nice big breaths here. And as you inhale, imagine lifting up out of that fold a little bit. And then as you exhale, maybe kind of sink in. So just kind of riding the breath up and down. Noticing on your exhales whether maybe you go a little deeper than you had initially or not. Taking one more breath, whether you choose to lift up or hold is up to you. With that next inhale, let's go ahead and bring it back up to the top. And then release. We're going to open the feet and bring ourselves into a straddle. Don't worry about wide. It's very early. We've been very still. So just find a nice little stretch and be good with it. Right? Pelvis is still upright. You can adjust if you need to adjust, of course. Toes point up at the ceiling. Let's inhale, stretch the arms up. Rotate the belly to the left and fold over this left leg. Same idea though, we're hinging from the hip. Keep the right cheek down. And just let the hands fall to either side of the leg. Maybe feeling a little bit of that rise and fall with the breath again. One more breath like that. And then lifting back, center, inhaling. Exhales, you rotate to the right and fold over the right leg. Same thing. One more breath over on this side. And then inhaling as we make our way back to center. Release the arms. Taking that left hand and tucking it up underneath the right thigh. Reach the right arm up. We're going to hinge over to the left. Bringing the elbows to the inner thigh or the floor. Drawing the right shoulder back. Nice big breaths. The pelvis is still rooted. The spine is still nice and long. And then we'll inhale and bring it back up to the top again. Switching sides. So the right hand pinned under the left. Left arm up and over. Elbow toward the inner thigh or the floor. Keeping this left shoulder back as we gently add that little extra body weight. Or not. With the inhale, we're coming back to center. And then we'll exhale, bringing the hands to the middle. So here, we're just going to simply hinge forward, keeping the pelvis in line here, belly button toward the floor. Okay, remember, it's not about reaching, it's about hinging forward. And the hands can be wherever you want them to be. If you are reaching forward, just remember to not, or try not to round the upper back. And if it happens, maybe just pull your hands back in, reach toward your toes, some other modification. And with the next inhale, we're going to make our way back up again and bring the legs back in. So again, maybe wiggling around a little bit. Coming around into all fours. Fun. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And then making your way into a plank. So knees if you want knees, of course. Otherwise, we're just going to hold, nothing fancy. Keeping the belly engaged, the shoulders neutral on the back. Go ahead and lift the hips, make your way toward down dog. Wiggling and stretching, of course, in your down dog. Feeling even on the hands, nice and long through your spine here. You can shift your hips or your shoulders or wherever you're feeling it. And from our down dog, we're going to step the right foot forward and come to a lunge. Go ahead and drop the back knee, maybe wiggle around into your hips a little bit. Finding a center then, making sure that the knee is directly above the ankle. Imagine pulling your legs toward each other and then take this right leg straight. Fish. Keeping the shoulders down and back, toes pointing toward the ceiling. Gives them a little extra. Bend back into the knee. Same into the hips. Bringing the right hand to the hip, let's go ahead and rotate around into a little bit of a twist. Releasing the twist, we'll take the right leg straight again. And you can definitely lift the back knee if that's where you want to be right now. Bend back into the knee. Keep the hips nice and square. You can leave your hands on the floor if that's where you need to be. Otherwise, maybe just climb up to the thigh and lift the upper body. Keep the legs pulling toward each other for some stability. If you want to lift the arms, go ahead and lift the arms. Relax your shoulders. And then let's go ahead and release that. Lifting the back knee, if you haven't already, we're going to walk our hands into the straddle and just let yourself hang for a second. Turn the toes forward. Maybe bring the feet in or out a little bit, depending on where you need to be there. And then we're going to take the hands, walk them over to the left. Drop the right knee. And do the same thing here. So just kind of shift around into your hips a little bit. Finding a center, drawing the legs toward each other. Take the left leg straight. Big full breaths. Bend back into the knee. Sink into the hips. We're going to add that twist. So the left hand to the hip, rotating the belly around. Releasing the twist, taking the leg straight again. Bending back into the knee. Sinking nice and low. And then you decide if you're just climbing up to the thigh or not, lifting the upper body more vertical or not, extending the arms or not. Let's gently release that. Lifting the back knee as we walk back into our straddle. Again, just letting the upper body hang. And walking the hands back around to the right. Lunging back to the top of the mat. Stepping back to down dog. And drop on down. And sit back into a child's pose. From here, go ahead and slide forward and come out onto the belly. So get comfortable here. Turning the tailbone toward the floor when you crown the pelvis into the mat so that the lower back stays long and happy about this. We're going to take our arms down by the sides of the body. And we're going to work with locust here. Right? So working with the upper body first. Keep the toes on the floor. Roll your shoulders up by your ears together on your back and curl the chest away from the floor. You can interlace the fingers behind your back too if you prefer that. That upper belly is soft, so you may be rising and falling with your breath. And then release it down. Make a little pillow for your head. Keep your head centered, so the chin or your forehead on your pillow. And extend through your big toes. Spreading your toes wide. Lifting the legs using more your hamstrings than your glutes. Of course, your glutes are going to kick in, but try to use your hamstrings at least as much. And then release it. Let's put that together. Right? Taking the arms back down by your sides or interlace behind your back if that's you. Keep the pelvis grounded. Roll your shoulders, curling your chest, extend through your big toes, and lift your legs. We'll release it down. Keep that little pillow for your head again. And then turning the toes toward each other, just gently kind of rock back and forth on your hips. So from here, go ahead and extend your left arm out to the left. Hand in line with the shoulder roughly. I like palm down, just kind of see where it goes. So you might feel a nice stretch in your shoulder and that might be enough, right? If it's not, roll to the left a little bit. And when there is enough stretch, you stop. I mean, theoretically, you could be, both feet flat on the floor with your hips on the floor, or not. Let's take another big breath here. Release back to center. We'll switch sides. So the same idea over here, taking the right arm out, extending it away from the body. Again, hand roughly in line with the shoulder. And then we start to roll to the right until you have enough stretch. Go nice and slow. Keeping those nice big breaths flowing. And then bringing it back to center again. Bringing the arms in, and we're just going to roll around to the back. So adjusting on your mat until you feel aligned here. Feet flat to the floor, the legs extended, that's entirely up to you. Just really get even on your back. Feel your shoulders rest. Feel even across your hips. And then if they're not already, take your feet flat to the floor. We're going to draw the knees into the chest. And see if you can feel your spine round a little bit. So the shoulders will lift up. The tailbone lifts up away from the floor. Maybe rock. Massaging the back on the floor. We're going to take the feet back to the floor. Have your heels pretty close to your hips. This is a place where if you wanted to prop up, you absolutely could. We're going to work with a little bit of bridge. So the arms nice and tight to the sides of the body here. Pressing down into the triceps so you can kind of feel your chest lift already, yeah? Pull the heels toward the hips and lift the hips away from the floor. And again, how deep you go into this pose is entirely up to you. You can stay with just the pelvis lifted a little bit. You can take the arms down and release them behind your back here. Prop up on a block underneath your pelvis. Okay, that lower sacrum area. So just play with it. If you want to add, maybe lifting a leg in, make it more intense, bigger back bend, making sure your neck and head stay comfortable. We've got one more breath here. And then we're gently going to release it back down. Hold with the feet flat. And then nice and easy, draw those knees back to the chest and rock. So last twist, whichever variation you'd like. If you want to keep the knees in, take the feet flat, shift the hips, straight legs, cross legs, whatever makes you happy. Open your arms out into a T position. We're going to take the legs to the right to begin. Or release into it is entirely up to you. I'm going to take just a couple more breaths on this side. And then bringing it back to center. Do the same thing to the second side. So whatever variation you chose before, take that to the left. One more great big breath over here. And then we'll bring it back to the center again. Let's draw the knees in. Give it that rock. And then bring them in for a really good squeeze. Forehead to the knees. Releasing that into a full body stretch. And then releasing the stretch. So we're going to make the body comfortable here. Again, maybe propping something up under the knees, taking your feet flat to the floor, legs up the wall, wherever you can be perfectly comfortable so the mind can stay focused where we want it to stay focused. And as you find that place, allow the muscles to release into the mat. Release control of your breath. And just let it flow like it naturally does. Taking a moment to simply notice what that's like now versus earlier. And then allow your mind to create what I like to call your happy place, right? So if you love the beach, put yourself on the beach. Okay? If you want to be in the woods, in a meadow, on a mountain, wherever it is. And begin to notice what's around you, looking for wildlife, whether there's birds, or maybe there's clouds in the sky or not. Taking a look at the trees, if there are trees. Noticing what is around you in your happy place. Noticing the sounds around you. Is it the babbling of a brook, the waves coming to shore? Maybe it's wind, and those birds that you saw earlier. Just listening. Listening for what's going on around you. What about what you feel? The ground beneath you, is it soft, as if you were in sand? Maybe the softness of the grass. Or is it firm like a rock on a mountain? Is the air cool? Do you feel the warmth of the sun? Or both? Are there any scents? You smell the salty air, or the newly blooming flowers in a meadow. What does it smell like where you are? Just taking a few more moments to be fully present in this place you've created. Let's take a nice big breath and let it all go. As you gently bring your mind back to your mat. Allowing your fingers to wiggle and your toes. Allow yourself to move and stretch. And if they're not already, take the feet flat to the floor. And as you're ready, gently make your way up to seated. Sitting well. Let's bring the palms to touch. And bow into the light within. Namaste. So maybe that was a little different. Maybe you get that same wonderful yoga buzz regardless of what you do, right? And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. So it's a little bit more well-rounded of a practice. And as much of that as you can bring in on the regular, the better it feels. So I won't be with you next week, but I do have something planned to put out there for you. And I hope you enjoy that. If you are more curious, then check out anydayyoga.com, and I've got some extra little programs there that sort of fill out the gaps, right? And what we just normally get on the mat and practice asana. So give me a shout if you have any questions or you want modifications for anything you got, suggestions for classes. I am open to hearing it. So have a great weekend, and I will see you in 2 weeks.